Okay, so somewhat foolishly, we booked our holiday for what was going to be 24 hours of cross-stitch weekend. So I had to miss out on that. I did have kind of a fun idea of doing 24 minutes of cross-stitch on the cruise ship, but turns out 24 minutes isn't very much. Let me show you how I did. Technically a success. I think that counts. Anyway, it is now 8:30 in the morning on Friday, August 16th, and this is not a 24 hours of cross-stitch weekend. But some people in my Discord decided to make it a 24-hour craft weekend anyway, just because, why not? And me being impressionable and all, I want to join in, even though I definitely do not have the time. I've sorted through my whips. I think I know what I'm going to rotate between this weekend. Also, while I have you here, look who got a Lowery corner stand. Ah! But the main problem is that before I can even get started, I need to tidy the entire house. I need to put the bins out, I need to do the washing, I need to put the ironing board away, I need to mend a dress, and then I've got family visiting at lunchtime. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of tricky to fit in 8 hours today. Honestly, I think I'm going to be lucky to get half the time done over the course of this weekend, but I thought it was a fun opportunity for a bit of a vlog, so let's just see. How does this keep happening? Main work task of the day was to finish editing a Stitch Squad bonus video and get that up on Ko-fi before my visitors arrived. I don't know. I don't really understand art. Which they did very soon after I finished. This is my mum.
Hello.
And this is my grandma.
Hi.
That's all you're getting from them. Every time I turn the camera on, they almost weed themselves laughing. Remind you of anyone?
Right, I got it. Full control. Okay.
Oh my god, what is your problem? Yeah, alright, that wasn't the most productive couple of hours of my crafting life, I have to admit. I've basically just got that lace section done there. I did spend some time going backwards as well because I made a bit of a mistake. You know how it is when you're crafting and chatting at the same time. But still, it's not about the progress, it's about putting the time in.
Because as we said at the end of the last video, our itinerary changed. Something sank in Hamburg and now it's a no-go zone.
Alright, yeah, it's getting to the time of day when the sun moves around this side of the house and it goes from freezing in here to, oh my god, no blanket.
At the tourist table in the cruise terminal had given us the times of the buses yesterday. Cheers, fella. Bang on time.
Study break! Yes, this, my non-Northern English friends, is a stotty, and it is the best kind of bread in the world. It does leave stotty dust all over your hands though, so fair warning. Okay, I reckon I'm probably about 3.5 hours in, which honestly, given how busy today was, that's not too bad. But I think I'm going to take a break and switch up crafts and work a bit on this. This is of course the Peppermint Purple Stitch Along from 2022. So yeah, I'm a little bit out of date with it, but to be fair, the last couple weeks I've been making good progress and I want to keep that going. It's also an opportunity to play with my exciting new toy. So here's what happened. I got a Lowery workstand for Christmas and I made a first impressions / beginner review video of it back in, I think, February. In that video, although I loved the workstand in general, I did mention that I was going to have to invest in an extender bar for it so that it would reach properly over my chunky couch arm. Now, that video was quite popular and a couple of very kind people actually sent in donations asking me to just buy myself the extender bar instead of having to save up for it over time, which was my original plan. So I did, and it's been great, and thank you again to the people who made that happen. But then a little bit later, things took a strange turn. Lowery themselves actually noticed that video and reached out to me, offering me an extender bar just to say thank you for making such a nice review of their product. So, you know, I was honest with them. I told them I'd already got one by this point and that it was brilliant, and that a few of you had actually recommended a corner clamp as my next stop because you told me it was going to be better for Q-snaps. I basically just told them if they were interested, I would let them know when I had a video on that in future. Given that the corner clamp is like twice the price of an extender bar, it was much to my surprise that they just straight up offered to send me one of those instead. And it turned up just in time for me to use it for this weekend that we are watching right now. So thank you very much to Lowery Workstands, and let's get this baby open. So if you saw my previous video on this, you know I have been using the default side clamp with my Q-snaps, and to be fair, I haven't really had any problems like that. You do need something to give it a bit of a grip because a Q-snap is just slippy plastic. I've been using a grime guard wrapped around one side and then inserted into the clamp, and it's been sturdy and absolutely fine. It looks a bit of a mess, but what doesn't in my life? The problem, such as it is that if you hold something like this from just one side, as the side clamp does, it's kind of able to wiggle back and forth like so. And if it doesn't have a really good grip with the clamp here, it can waggle its way out over time. With a corner clamp, you're holding it from two sides at the same time, which it turns out is really difficult to demonstrate. That's the word I was looking for. But you see what I mean. It's holding on two sides, so it can't wiggle back and forth and therefore can't ease its way out over time. At least I think that's the theory. Now that is what I call stable. Nice. Jump scare imminent. Guess who's got the big light on? So much for the big light. We basically settled down for cozy soup and TV night, and here was my progress from day one. Good morning. It is now Saturday, and to be honest, I have no idea what the last thing I filmed was yesterday. I always think that's weird in vlogs when people say that. I always think, it was just the night before, how can you not remember? But yeah. As for where I got up to yesterday, I ended on about 6 hours, if my estimates are to be believed. It was tricky to track time yesterday, just with like people visiting and things going on. But I got a little bit more done on this, just you can't really tell. I generally measure how far through I am a repeat by kind of how far up this slanted line here I am. It's very early, I'm tired, I'm not going to be the most articulate, okay? Long story short, these rows are getting a lot slower now, and progress is going to be less than impressive. But it is still progress. As for this one, I felt like I did a lot yesterday, but it turns out I just kind of really did these 2 blocks, although I have put most of the blue borders in as well. I'm just missing this bit at the top because I ran out. So that's not too bad. Not really sure what the plan is for today. Dave's currently out doing his morning walk. I might be off round a friend's later. I don't know. Will I work on the exact same projects again? Will I change it up? Who knows? Even if I do change it up, it did occur to me just last night that 3 out of 4 of the projects I picked out are purple and blue variegated. So regardless of what happens during this weekend, I definitely need to change it up more in general, I think. Oh, alright, I need a cup of tea. I had the idea that, you know, actually getting dressed might wake me up a bit. Not going to say it's worked 100%, but there is a definite improvement. So here's where we are. I'm almost at the end of this repeat. I just need to do a few more rows with the decreases to get this slanted bit to join onto the edge there. I still don't know if that description makes sense, but let's just assume it does. So I'm going to persevere with that for a little bit, and then once I've got that repeat done, I'm thinking I'm going to mix it up and work on something else. Right, I hope you can see this, but what I want to show you is that the Lowery corner clamp is sitting on the actual snap bits of the Q-snap, and it's leaving a gap between that and the fabric. So it's not touching my fabric, it's not in danger of leaving marks or anything. On the back though, since I've got extra fabric rolled up back here, I've just popped an extra bit of my go-to cheap felt under the clamp because it's better safe than sorry. Bit of a fail. I tried. On the bright side though, it's pizza night tonight and it may only be 4 PM, but I'm already getting quite excited, so it's got me motivated to keep going. If you're in my Discord server, you might know that I recently became obsessed with learning about weather and specifically what different temperatures actually feel like. So the stitching today was interrupted by this constant need to go stand outside in the garden and gather data for my spreadsheet. Shut up, it's interesting, okay? Stopping point on this one for the day, and the promised pizza. Hooray! Thank you. This is so not my day. Frogged the sock almost all the way back to that marker. Not quite, but almost. So that's disappointing. I got the stitches picked back up. I had 72 as the pattern asked me to, and I'm thinking that's really not much of a gusset decrease. That doesn't look right. It wasn't right. It didn't say to work until there were 72 stitches. It said to work until there were 64 stitches. Brackets, 72. Yeah, remember that thing where knitting patterns have multiple sizes, and I guess my brain just skipped the 64 part and went straight to the 72, and I frogged back way too far. So now I get to knit it all again. So that was our weekend. I did feel like I got a lot done, but it's just never quite the same when you're flitting between projects. I like to have a solid before and after. So I actually had to annotate these photos to convince myself that I'd made good progress. Still, it was a lot of fun, and it was actually a lot easier for me doing this than 24 hours of actual cross-stitch. I think that was partially the variety keeping me interested, and partially just that knitting is a better TV craft a lot of the time. That said, it's taken so long to get this video out that there is now another official 24 hours of cross-stitch weekend coming up in, I think, like 2 weeks? I don't know, I'll put the dates up on screen now. I'm not sure what we're doing for that exactly, but I do at least know that people will be posting their updates in the Discord, so feel free to jump over and join us there. Thankfully, I will be prepared with my trusty new corner clamp. Now, as I said, this was just a gift from a small business who appreciated me giving them such a nice shout out. I am in no way obligated to like it or even to review it at all. But those of you who told me that a corner clamp was way better to use with Q-snaps, you are so right. I love this thing. It's just so much sturdier, and I don't have to worry about adding grippy felt to stop my project from falling out like I did with the side clamp. I mean, that wasn't a major problem with the side clamp, don't get me wrong, but I did just have the occasional project fall out onto the floor when I hadn't set everything up perfectly, and that's always a little bit of a heart-in-mouth moment that you'd prefer to avoid. With the corner one, those Q-snap frames are going nowhere. I will say at first I kept getting the thread caught on this bit round the back while I was stitching, and that was really annoying. It had me worried at first that maybe this wasn't going to be suitable for the quite small Q-snaps that I prefer to stitch with, because then your hand is, just by definition, is going to be quite close to this round the back. But in hindsight, I think what it was is that the equivalent part on the side clamp, I've developed the muscle memory of how to avoid that with my hands when I am stitching around the back, and with this being brand new and it being in a different place, it was just catching me out. Thankfully, after about a day of use, that muscle memory did kick in and the problem resolved itself, so not an issue. Muscle memory is a wonderful thing. In fact, since recording most of this video, because I'm so incredibly slow at editing, I've actually used it for a whole other craft marathon weekend, the one that we did in September. And that's as well as, just my normal day-to-day. In fact, if I'm honest, I haven't even bothered to reattach the side clamp since I got this one. Don't get me wrong though, that will be useful again in future. I'm just very Q-snap heavy at the moment. Thank you again to Lowery Workstands for the lovely gesture. As you can see, it's gone to a very appreciative home. If anyone out there is in the market for one of these babies, I'll leave the link in the description down below. It's not an affiliate link or anything, it's just, maybe a recommendation for your Christmas wish list, if you're feeling fancy. Okay, that about sums it up. Thank you as always to my supporters over on Ko-fi, and especially to the Stitch Squad, who should keep an eye out for some exciting news dropping over there soon. Mary Ann Johnson, Sunny, Candy Riley Pettinger, Laura Salets, Enlightened Flamingo, Cross Stitch the Globe, I'd Rather Be Stitching, Angela Sue Harrison, Emily Hobbs, Lee the Cozy Crafter, Asta Vinka, Callie Jenny, Sarah, Angela Wells, Enraged Flamingo, and newest member, Kaylin. I'll be back soon with some more crafty nonsense, so in the meantime, have a brilliant rest of your day and keep making cool stuff. Bye!